Hello my crystals, welcome to my YouTube channel. So, in this lecture, we will talk about the cerebellar lesions and its dysfunction, right? So, before we start our lecture, if you really like my video, then like, subscribe and don't forget to share your friends, right? So, let's get started. So, before we talk about the lesions and dysfunction of the cerebellum, we will talk about the causes, right? So, congenital cause. So, in the congenital cause, there is a Dandy-Walker malformation in which the ataxia is usually present. So, what is Dandy-Walker malformation? So, in this disorder, there is a problem in development of vermis, right? So, the ataxia is developed. In the hereditary ataxia, so there are autosomal recessive or autosomal dominant hereditary ataxia, right? So examples of hereditary ataxia are Friedreich ataxia, ataxia telangiectasia, A beta lipoproteinemia, and ataxia with vitamin E deficiency, right? So what is the Friedreich ataxia? So it is mainly present in the children with the 10 to 15 years. There is a damage in the parts of the brain, spinal cord, and also it affects the heart, right? So in some patients there is a club foot and scoliosis is also present. So what causes the Friedreich ataxia? So there is a fretrexin which is the protein, right? So this protein is required for proper functioning of the mitochondria. So defect in this protein causes cell degeneration, right? Second is ataxia telangiectasia. So what is the mean by telangiectasia? So telangiectasia mean enlarged of blood vessels below the skin surface, right? So in this ataxia telangiectasia, the gene is responsible for this condition is ATM, right? So ATM means ataxia telangiectasia mutated genes, right? So what this gene do? So it regulates the rate at which the cells grow and divide. So defect in the gene causes the abnormal cell death, including the parts of the brain, right? So the ataxia is developed. Next is A beta lipoproteinemia. As the name suggests, there is a impairment in the normal absorption of the fat and certain vitamins, right? So there is a problem in the absorption of the fats, right? So there is a severe shortage of the fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, K, right? And the next is ataxia with vitamin E deficiency. The next cause is spinocerebellar ataxia, which is autosomal dominant, which is also known as the Friedreich ataxia. The next cause is acquired causes. So in the acquired causes, there is a neurodegenerative disorders, multiple sclerosis, cerebellar strokes, repeated traumatic brain injury. In the systemic causes, there is a alcoholism is responsible. So in the alcoholism, there is a alcoholic cerebellar degeneration. Thiamine deficiency. Thiamine is also known as the vitamin B1, which so the deficiency of the thiamine causes the beriberi, right? Celiac disease. So the celiac disease is due to the consumption of the gluten. So which is the gluten is a protein which is developed from the wheat, barley, rye and the other grains. So due to the consumption of the gluten, there is an inflammation of the small intestine lining, right? The next is heat stroke and the hypothyroidism. The next cause is toxins. So the toxins are affect the cerebellum function. So the toxins are heavy metals, carbon monoxide, lithium, phenytoin and certain solvents, right? The other cause of the cerebellum dysfunction is the subacute cerebellar degeneration as a paraneoplastic syndrome in the patient with the breast cancer, ovarian cancer, lung cancer, and the other solid tumors, right? Paraneoplastic means we had a cancer in the past years, and so due to this cancer there is a cerebellar degeneration occurs in some patient, which is called as a paraneoplastic syndrome, right? So now on our topic, which is the cerebellar dysfunction. So the cerebellar dysfunction is divided in three parts. So first is disturbance in tone and posture, disturbance in equilibrium, and disturbance in movements. So the disturbance in tone and posture, there is a atonia, attitude, deviation, movement, effect on the deep reflexes are included. In the disturbance in equilibrium, the equilibrium can be impaired while the standing or while moving, right? Which is also known as the drunken gait. And the disturbance in movements, there is ataxia, asynergia, asthenia, dysmetria, intention tremor, aesthesia, rebound phenomenon, dysarthria, and adiadochokinesia, right? So started with the disturbance in tone and posture. So first is atonia. So we all know that there is a reduction in the tone of the muscle is known as the atonia, right? So it occurs due to the loss of facilitatory impulses to gamma motor neurons in the spinal cord via the cerebellovestibular and cerebelloreticulo spinal fibers, right? So we all know that there is a two type of fibers are present, extrafusal and intrafusal. In the intrafusal fibers there is a innervation of the gamma motor neurons, and in the extrafusal fibers there is a innervation of the alpha motor neurons, right? So the loss of facilitatory impulses to the gamma motor neurons causes the atonia, right, which is the responsible for maintaining the tone, right? Next, it is depending upon the severity of the lesion. Lesion causes disturbance in postural reflexes. Next is attitude. So what is the attitude of the patient's body, right? So the attitude of the body changes in the unilateral lesion of the cerebellum. Changes in the attitude are, so the rotation of the head towards the opposite side on the unaffected side, right? Second is lowering of the shoulder on same side, abduction of the leg on the affected side, leg is rotated outward. In the second verse there is a lateral rotation of the leg, right? And the weight of the body is thrown on the leg of the unaffected side, so the trunk is bent with the concavity towards the affected side. Next is deviation movement. So the lateral deviation of the arms when the both arms are stretched and held in the front of the body with the closed eyes. In the bilateral lesion both the arms deviate, and in the unilateral lesion arms of the affected side deviates. So I will tell you there is a two main difference between the cerebrum lesions and the cerebellar lesion. So in the cerebellar lesion, if the right cerebellum if the lesion is present in the right cerebellum, there then the dysfunction is also on the ipsilateral side, in other words on the right side, right? And in the contrary to cerebral lesions, if there is a lesion in the right side, so the dysfunction is on the other left side, right? So it is the main difference in the cerebrum and the cerebellar lesions. So now move on the effect on deep reflexes. So in the deep reflexes there is a pendular movements occurs while eliciting a tendon jerk. These movements are very common while eliciting the knee jerk or the patellar tendon reflex in the patients affected by cerebellar lesions. A tap on the patellar tendon when the leg is hanging freely causes a brisk extension of the leg due to the contraction of quadriceps muscle, as we all know that in the normal conditions after extension the leg returns back to the resting position immediately. In the cerebellar lesions the leg shows the pendular movements. So now on the other, disturbance in the equilibrium. So the disturbance in equilibrium in while standing or while moving, right? So the while standing, the legs are spread to provide a broad base and the body sways side to side with the oscillation of the head. And while moving, gait means walking, right? In the cerebellar lesions, a staggering, reeling, and the drunken-like gait is observed. So to remember this disturbance in equilibrium, we have to imagine the drunken man like alcoholic man, right? Next is disturbance in movement. So first is ataxia. As we all know that the ataxia means lack of coordination of movement, right? So if the ataxia is truncal, then the lesion in the vermis, right? Because as we know that the functional lobe vermis, it contribute into the regulation of the axial movements, right? And in the intermediate zone, it is responsible for the distal movements, right? So depending upon the lesion, there is a truncal ataxia or the gait ataxia, right? There is an incoordination of the lower limbs resulting in a staggering gait and inability to walk in a straight line. Second is asynergia. So what does it mean by synergy? So there is a program in which our body, there is a lot of muscles like antagonist, agonist, and the accessory muscles are worked together to form a movement, right? So the problem in this synergy causes the asynergia, right? So the lack of coordination between the different group of muscle such as the protagonist, antagonist, and the synergist, movements appear clumsy, jerky, and abnormal. Asthenia. So A stands for without and the sthenus stands for strength. So we say that there is a without strength, right? So the lack of energy and strength. Weakness, easy fatigability, slowness of the muscles. Myasthenia refers to a loss of muscle strength as in the myasthenia gravis. Dysmetria. So dysmetria means inability to check exact strength and the duration of the muscular contractions required for any voluntary act. In other words, inability to judge distance or the scale. For example, while reaching for an object, the arm may overshoot past pointing or it may fall short of the object. So the overshooting is known as the hypermetria and the short cause is the hypometria. I will explain you dysmetria by an example, right? If we all see the cricket match, right? So in the cricket match, if the one person is try to catch a ball, right? So he knows the distance of the ball, his muscular strength, so he can catch a ball. So the patients with the cerebellar dysfunction didn't know the exact strength of their muscles and the distance of the things, right? Intention tremor. Intention tremor means rapid, alternate, rhythmic, and involuntary movement of flexion and extension in joints of fingers, wrist, or the elbow. It develops while attempting to do any voluntary act. Aesthesia. Unsteady voluntary movements. Inability to either stand or walk in a normal manner. It refers to an inability to stand upright unassisted, like a drunken gait, right? Nystagmus. We all know that the to and fro movements of the eyeball is known as the nystagmus. So the eyes can move side to side. It known as the horizontal nystagmus. When eyes move up and down, it known as the vertical nystagmus. And if the eyes can move in the circle, it is known as the rotatory nystagmus, right? The people with the nystagmus may tilt or turn their head to see more clearly. This helps to slow down the eye movement. Rebound phenomenon. When the patient attempts to do a movement against the resistance, and if the resistance is suddenly removed, the limb moves forcibly in the direction in which the attempt was made. It is due to the absence of braking action of antagonistic muscle. I will give an example to remember the rebound phenomena. If we outstretch our hand and try to do a shoulder flexion against the resistance, right? So when we remove the resistance from our hand, so there is a small jerk is felt by us. In the patients with the cerebellar dysfunction, they did felt the jerk, right? Dysarthria. Dysarthria means disturbance in speech. Phonation is defective due to the loss of smoothness in the expiratory muscles. So we all thought that what is the role of the expiratory muscles in the phonation, right? So the expiratory muscles causes the positive pressure on the glottis, so the we can speak, right? So in the some dysarthria condition, the occupational therapist and the physiotherapist do work on the respiratory muscle to treat the dysarthria, right? Articulation is defective as there is a less coordination between muscles of the lip, tongue and palate. Adiadochokinesis. So, ability to do rapid alternative successive movements such as the supination and the pronation of the arm is called as a diadochokinesis. So, inability to do rapid alternate successive movement is called the adiadochokinesis or the dysdiadochokinesia. There is a other thing which causes the cerebellar dysfunction. It is the cerebellar cognitive affective syndrome. So what is this syndrome? So we all know that the artery supplies the cerebellum, right? Superior cerebellar artery, anterior inferior and the posterior inferior, right? So when the thrombosis in occur in the arteries which nurture the cerebellum, so cerebellum cognitive affective syndrome occurs, right? So these patients show the inattention, grammatical errors in the speech and the patchy memory loss. Involvement of the vermis resulting in dulling of emotional response. It is characterized by muscular hypotonia, intention tremor, adiadochokinesia, nystagmus, dysarthria and ataxic or unsteady gait. Thank you for watching my video. I put some YouTube video link in my description box, so you can easily remember the gait, ataxic gait and the nystagmus and other things, right? Thank you for watching and don't forget to share to your friends and like and subscribe.